Welcome back. We are now on to day 2 of Unit 4. So remember, this unit is all about transport of molecules across the cell membrane. Yesterday, we talked about the cell membrane. So today, we're going to be talking about the very first form of transport that you guys need to know. So with that being said, today's aim is through which process do materials move across the cell membrane? So there are a few different types that we're going to learn about. Today, we're going to be focusing on just one. And hopefully by the end of today's lesson, you'll be able to answer that aim. All right, so as always, there is a do now question. Complete the following using your knowledge of biology. Students have found that although plants require light to carry on photosynthesis, very high levels of sunlight can kill some plants. This illustrates that many biochemical processes may occur A, more rapidly when temperatures are very high, B, within a specific range of conditions, C, best in the absence of abiotic factors, or D, even if homeostasis is disrupted. Go ahead and pause this video, answer that question, and press play when you're ready to go over it. All right, so hopefully you identified that the answer here is B. Oh no, that's not supposed to happen. Wait for it. All right, oh, that's not a highlighter. All right, there we go, third time's the charm. The answer there is B, because although plants need sunlight to grow, too much sunlight or too little is going to kill them. So this illustrates that everything works best within a specific range. So this is kind of the same phenomenon that we talked about with enzymes having their best range of pH or their best range of temperature. This is the same phenomenon. Many biochemical processes occur within a specific range of conditions. So plants need just the right amount of sunlight in order to best grow. All right, so today we're going to be talking about something called passive transport. So I'm going to read through this passage and then we're going to answer questions 1 through 4 together. All right, so read along with me. Here we go. In a solution, randomly moving molecules tend to fill up a space. When the space is filled evenly, a state called equilibrium is reached. I would underline that if I were you. Or highlight. The amount of a particular substance, also known as a solute, in a given volume, which we call the solution, is called the concentration of the substance. So the concentration, we're talking about how much solute is in a solution. So if something is more concentrated, that means there is more solute in that solution. If something is less concentrated, there is less solute in that solution. Molecules will generally move from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. Oh, I had a little twitch there. This movement down the concentration gradient is called passive transport and does not require energy. I'm going to read that sentence one more time because that's going to be super, super important. Actually, 2 sentences. Molecules will typically move from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. This movement down the concentration gradient is called passive transport and does not require energy. Although many molecules can easily diffuse across the semipermeable membrane, some molecules are too large or are too strongly charged to cross the lipid bilayer and instead diffuse through the transport proteins found within the lipid bilayer. All right, so first of all, what is passive transport? I'm gonna write these questions in red to distinguish between what I've highlighted. What is passive transport? So hopefully you read from this passage that this is the movement of molecules from an area of high concentration to low concentration. So we call that down the concentration gradient. And this does not require energy. So passive transport is the movement from a high concentration to low. I like to think of this as kind of like a slide. So with a slide, you're gonna start up at the very top. After you climb up that ladder, you're just gonna be sitting up here. Oof, that's really ugly. Sitting up here at the top of the slide. You're just hanging out at that high concentration. But then once you scoot over to the ledge, eventually you're going to get to a part where you just start falling automatically. Now, does it require energy on your half to go down that slide? Are you out of breath by the end of that slide? No, because it doesn't require any energy to fall down a slide. It's kind of like the same thing. If you fall down the stairs, you're not using any energy. You're just going from high to low areas, and you're not exerting any energy to do that. So passive transport does not require energy. Okay. No. So the answer here to number 2, does passive transport require energy, is no. All right, now number 3, because diffusion depends on random particle movements, substances diffuse across membranes without the use of energy. At what point will the movement of these particles cease? So particles are always moving around us, so they never really stop. But this question is asking you, when will a certain state be reached? These molecules are going to keep moving until they reach what we call equilibrium. And when we're talking about equilibrium, the word equilibrium kind of sounds like equal. And that's because we're talking about equal amounts of particles spread across the entire area. Okay, so those particles are going to keep moving until equilibrium is reached. Now that will make a little bit more sense once I show you guys a picture at the very bottom. So I'm gonna put a pause on that thought. All right, now number 4, suppose a molecule is present in unequal concentrations on either side of a cell membrane. If the substance is small enough to cross the cell membrane, in which direction do you think the molecules will move? Support your answer. So I'm actually gonna have us look at this picture now. So let's imagine that this is our membrane, okay, this area right down the middle. So here in this picture, we have molecules present in unequal concentrations. We have a high concentration on this left side, and we have a low concentration on the right side, because on the left, we see that there are a ton of particles, but on the right, we don't have any. So over time, what's going to happen? Well, we see that those molecules actually start to diffuse or move across that cell membrane until something called equilibrium is reached. Okay, and with this equilibrium state, we see that there are equal amounts, so there's that word again, equal amounts of molecules on each side of the membrane. Okay, so that kind of has to do with question 3, but now let's go back to number 4. The question is, if the substance is small enough to diffuse across that cell membrane, which direction will the molecules move? So we see here that they're going to be moving from an area of high concentration to low concentration until equilibrium is reached. Okay, so the answer there is the molecules will move from the area of high concentration to an area of low concentration until equilibrium is reached. And so molecules are naturally going to want to travel down that slide. They want to balance out both sides of that membrane to make sure that each side of the membrane has the same amount of molecules. So they're going to naturally move from high concentration to low concentration. They're just going to go down that slide and even it out across the membrane. Now, this might sound kind of complex, but I guarantee that you've actually seen this or experienced this multiple times in your life. So think about, let's imagine for a minute that we are baking cookies, right? Imagine your favorite cookie, you come home and your sibling or your parent or your grandmother is baking cookies in your kitchen. Amazing, right? But after a while, your entire apartment's gonna smell like cookies. Why is that? We're not making cookies in the bedroom as far as I'm aware. We're just making cookies in the kitchen. So how can the smell of cookies end up in your bedroom? It's because of diffusion. It's because of passive transport. So although those molecules might start out in the kitchen, so here's my cookie. Eventually, over time, those molecules of cookies are going to go all across your house and make the entire apartment smell like cookies. So those molecules are going from an area of high concentration. So you've got a ton of cookie fumes in your kitchen, and they're going to travel to areas of low concentration. So originally your bedroom didn't smell like cookies, or your living room didn't smell like cookies, but after a while it's going to, because those molecules have spread out across the entire apartment. Same thing happens with perfume or Febreze or anything that has those little aerosol particles. They're going to spread out across the area of high concentration to low concentration until equilibrium is reached. Until those molecules are everywhere and evenly spread out, they're going to keep traveling. All right, and I'm going to show you guys one more picture of what this looks like before I let you go for the exit ticket. Where is it? All right, here we go. If you want to screenshot this and add it to your notes, feel free. This is something that is on the PowerPoint, but obviously we're not doing that today. So this is another picture of how passive transport or diffusion works. So here, we drop some dye into a glass of water. We see that right here, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse moving, but we'll find out. In the center of this diagram, there is a high concentration of food dye, but in the area surrounding it, where it's just water, there's a low concentration of food dye. But over time, something called diffusion, which is a type of passive transport, so it does not require energy, those molecules are going to start spreading out, and they're spreading out from an area of high concentration to low concentration. So they're starting to spread out all throughout that water. And eventually we're going to reach C, where dye is evenly distributed. So equilibrium has been reached. There are equal amounts of food dye and water spread throughout that entire solution. All right. So hopefully that helped you guys visualize what's happening just a little bit more. Now I want you guys to click on your exit ticket. There are 2 questions waiting for you. Let me know if you have any questions. And as always, have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys tomorrow.